And it said this: if you don't see eye to eye in everybody in your church, then you don't belong in the church. And I thought about that. You know, sometimes it takes slow folks longer to think. And the more I thought about what he said, he wasn't speaking of personalities. He wasn't speaking of belief. He wasn't speaking of believing in the same God. He wasn't speaking. What he was speaking of is, if you don't see eye to eye, you don't need to. Come on now. I mean, there are some folk, they're weird, but there's some folk, they don't like onions. They're weird, they're different. There's some folk that hate onions, but you know what I learned, brother?
What's that?
I learned that if I chop them up fine,
They'll never know.
and they eat it, they say it's the best food they ever ate. But then when you tell them it had onions in it, all of a sudden they have a conniption fit. Oh my God, I hate onions. So I learned that if you don't like onion, it's all right. If you like your breath all smelly and pretty, that's all right. You see, my dog don't care. He kisses me the same whether I got onion breath or not.
That's right.
Some people come to church with ships on their shoulder. That was the Mexican word of the day, ships. And they can't get along. You know why they can't get along? It ain't them folk. It's that folk. If I walk into a coliseum full of people that have the same ideology and mine is different, I might need to rethink my ideology. Or I might just keep my ideology to myself. Huh? You see, some people, just because you worship different. I had somebody I was talking to the other day, and they were talking about two ladies in our church, and I won't mention their names. Why are y'all laughing? And they said, we don't want them people in our church. I said, why don't you want them in your church? They said, And as the longer I listened, the more thankful I was. Oh, you were hearing me. I had somebody tell me, we ain't coming back to your church. Why you ain't coming back to church? It's too loud. So this Sunday I made sure I turned it up.
That's right.
If our worship offends you, is what they were talking about. You don't know where we came from. You don't know what we've been delivered from. You don't know what God keeps us from. The reason I'm loud is I can't keep it quiet. I try to be quiet. I like quiet folk. They worship the Lord like this. You know why they worship the Lord like this? Because they dead. If you only raise your hands up this high, it means you're dead. You see, we get our hands up.
Yes, sir. Way up there. Yes, sir.
Now, you can be quiet and get your hands all the way up. But last time I fact check in the scripture, if your hands are down here, you're dead. You have no life. You got to get your hands up. If my worship offends you, it's not me that's wrong, it's you.
Amen.
And then I looked and I said, fine, sir. I'm really grateful that you kicked them out and you didn't want them. I said, because they worship just fine at my church. And we ain't changing.
That's right.
I'm going to tell you something. I used to be quiet as a teenager. I was quiet. Not outside, just in church. There was a man that prayed, said, Lord, still a good friend of mine, believe it or not, after that. He said, Lord, they called me Donnie. That was okay. They called me Donnie. Don't ask. My sister still calls me Donnie. He said, Lord, I know you've got a calling on that man's life. And I know that young man has a calling in the ministry. But Lord, I need you to get a hold of him tonight. Now y'all make fun of me. Because some of you don't know, so it's out of your era. And some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Matter of fact, I think all of us old folks at least broke our ankles one time in the 70s. That's when all the men and the women wore high heels. Am I the only one? We wore platforms, baby. Boots. There's that tall. We was cool. It was expensive. You know, we had to put our cowboy boots in the closet for a little bit. Huh? Oh, you all. Maybe it's just in Arizona. But in the 70s, they had the disco. Well, I was all cool. I had I probably still have it somewhere, psychedelic circled silk shirt and my cool Soul Brother pants. And I went to church. There's only one problem. That guy, his name was Mike Kessler.
Oh, Brother Kessler.
Yeah, Brother Kessler. Now, Brother Kessler, it's amazing. He prayed me straight, and then I had to pray his kids straight. And God got a hold of me, and I don't know how, but somehow them platforms went like this, and I'm still walking in them. I was so drunk in the spirit. They said for 2 hours I just staggered with them platforms sideways. I would have showed them disco boys on that floor something new. But until you let God get a hold of you like that, oh, you hear me?
Come on.
Until you let God get a hold of you, you'll always have doubt. You'll always have unbelief. You'll always be struggling to live for God. You'll always be struggling.
Right.
Because you never run into the holies of holies. I'm going to preach in a minute. This is just free today. You know, that overtime stuff is free. I asked my wife, I said, how come I preach so long? She said, you preached 33 minutes. I said, then how come we didn't get out of here to 1:30? She said, because you didn't start on time.